You want to know why Bumstead really lost? Tune in. We got the answer.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined especially today by Chris, the technician from the airport, coming back from his son's show, and King Kamali, our special guest today. We're going to be talking about the CBUM versus Martin Fitzwater battle at the Prague Pro show that I got banned from, Chris, and I didn't even go to the show. Can you imagine that?
Oh, preemptive strike.
Is that a first?
It's a Dick Cheney preemptive strike.
And me, because I don't know why it says, let me see what this is what comes up on my screen when I paid for the broadcast. I was promoting the broadcast, the whole live stream, play by play, and then they sent me this all of a sudden. Your account has been blocked. We have detected suspicious activity or violation of the rules of service. Your account has been blocked. So I'm blocked. I officially got blocked from a show and I didn't even go to it.
Dave, don't you think maybe next time it will help you and help everybody else for you to contact the promoters and just say, hey guys, I'm going to put little 3-second little pictures of clips, but I'm going to promote your show the entire fucking time.
Yeah, I should have done that. You're right. You're right.
Just do that.
When you're right, you're right. Yeah, I should have.
Problems because you got more power than these dickheads.
Well, you know what the problem is? The problem is, King, is I assume that when there's 1,000 Instagram, accounts that are putting the live stream, videos up, and YouTube channels that are putting it up, it's actually accounts that are live streaming the whole thing, live. I didn't think that putting up 2-second clips and saying, hey, go, buy the live broadcast at $15. I didn't think that promotion of them would get me banned and the other people not banned. So
because
I just,
nice.
you know what I did?
Because you're too nice. I've said this 1,000 times, Dave. You're too fucking nice. Stop being so nice. Yeah. You have the top-rated show. You have the biggest podcast. You have the most viewers. You got power. Use that fucking power. Just call them up and say, bro, it's Dave Palumbo from RX. I can get you a lot more viewers. But let me just do this X, Y, and Z. That's it.
You know why I don't do that? Chris could tell you why I don't do that either. Because when I do that, they say, no thanks. And then once you ask permission, if you do it, then you're like violating their. It's like when I went to the Olympia, I love Dan Solomon. I love all the guys there. They're awesome. They have a rule: no videotaping from the press pit. I adhere to that rule because I respect them, and I'm at the show. But I got everybody next. I got Cormier. I got this one, that one. Everyone's taking video from their phone and putting it on their Instagram, and I can't do it because if I do it, I'm done. That's it. Press pass is taken out, kicked out of the place. So I adhere to the rules, but I don't understand why there's a double standard where they can't. In other words, you can't reinforce the video rules because that's what we live in, the social media world now, where everyone can video from your phone. Then don't make the rules. There's no reason to have these rules if you can't enforce them, and that's my only thing.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. So, Chris, you were at the Ben Weider Naturals this past weekend, and I understand your son came very close to getting a pro card. Talk to us about that.
Got 4. No, not really. He got 4th, but he looked great.
Well, was 3 places away from a pro card at 19 years old. That's pretty close if you think about it.
Well, the guy who won won pro shows in the elite Pro League, and he's WNBF World Champion. So he's competing against
really?
a pro,
Wow.
who looked very good.
That's crazy.
You know, the class winner was really good.
Let's put a little.
He could have arguably been a little high.
Sounds a little.
I bet your
sketchy.
son looked. Oops, wrong one.
Do the hotel room.
That's not your son. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I put up Martin Fitzwater. I thought that was your son for a second.
Well, I'll take that too and say, see, he looks good there, Martin. I'll tell you what.
How much did he weigh here? 100, 176?
173.
And he's only been training King for 2 years.
20, yeah, exactly 2 years.
It's nice.
All natural. Crazy genetics.
You got to put up the back shot too for King.
All right.
See if
Hold on.
his glutes are tighter than King's when King was competing.
You know, I was going to say he looks a little like King Kamali's physique when King was just starting out too.
It's good. Yeah, nice and dry. How old?
19. Just turned 19.
19 with glutes like that? That's impressive.
And he didn't even do the Sumatran rice, King.
No Sumatran rice.
Well,
Wow, that was good, man. Good color, good skin.
I carved him on rice cakes and manuka honey.
Did you do his tan yourself, Chris?
No, the Gary Udit's company.
Oh, you gave in and did the spray tan? Because I know you did it the first time yourself, right?
Too much for me to put the tan on.
I told you. I said it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Too stressful. Way too stressful to do tans. I wish back in the day we were when we used to compete. I wish they had a spray tan booth. Man, that would have saved us a lot of grief. All right, let me. When you look at this picture, what do you see?
Me or King?
Both of you. Either one of you can answer.
I see the what's amazing about the picture is I see one class. Like we have 3 divisions for professionals, and here they all are. It's, at the end of the day, we have a 212 guy, a classic guy, and an open guy, all in one class.
Yep.
I mean, we made these
Unbelievable, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we made these classes for distinct people or distinct looks, and here we are at this pro show, and 1, 2, 3 are from different classes.
100%.
And 2 of them are Olympia champs.
Well,
who looks the best here to you?
All 3 of them are unbelievable. What's that, Dave?
In this pose, who looks the best? Yeah, your connection is slow. It's a little slow. It's lagging.
Bumstead doesn't lose the front leg.
Yeah.
That's his best shot.
Yeah. When you see Bumstead in this shot, you almost wonder how he didn't win the show, because he's structurally so good. But you can definitely see that Martin's a lot bigger. Now, King, at the pre-judging when we were talking about the show, Martin looked like he was a little off at the end. He was sweating a lot. His tan wasn't so great. Looks like he came back better at night. Was that, in your mind, what sealed the deal for him?
Yeah. When he initially came out and did his night show routine, he wasn't sweating tonight. He looked good. He was nice and dry. His color was a little bit better. But as they were running their comparisons tonight, he started to spill again. He started to, the sweat was pouring off of him again. And maybe that's why they ran through the comparisons really, really fast. The comparisons tonight were quick, real quick. And Martin was just spilling and sweating and sweating and sweating. But to answer your question, yes, he looked about 5% sharper than he did yesterday.
Chris, what do you think won the show for Martin?
It was his muscle density, his back shot, back double, most muscular.
Yes.
Although Chris has a great most muscular as well, but Martin's is, a denser look. It's a dense, stocky, and I don't mean that in a necessarily negative way, but a dense, stocky power physique versus absolutely fantastic structure, with cleaner lines and a fresher look. Chris still has a fresher look. It's a different look to his physique than Martin. And, at the end of the day, it looks like, even though I thought Chris may pull it off after prejudging, when I looked at pictures again, it goes back to, like, what's the judging panel want? Do they want a thick, dense physique, or do they want Chris's physique, which is unique in its own way? Stand and relax, I think the show is not even close.
Mm-hmm.
Front double, I think Chris wins. Front lat spread, he wins. So there's 3 initial impressions: standing, front double, front lat spread. Clearly, Chris wins. But Martin's got also a very thick side tricep, very thick side chest, very thick back double, very powerful, most muscular. So it becomes this saying, apples versus oranges. You're splitting hairs.
Right. Let me run a theory by you guys and tell me what you think, because I like to throw theories, because they're probably, most of them are not true, but it's a scenario that could potentially explain what happened. To me, I think that everyone, King and I talked about this. If the show is close, I really believe they were going to give it to Chris Bumstead, because we want this guy in the Olympia, right? We want this guy to continue competing. I think that he looked good enough after prejudging that he was clearly in front. He looked cleaner. He was a better poser. His presentation was good. His TAM was better. He lost a couple poses to Martin, but he won a lot of poses too. So the question is, why did he come in second place? Well, this quote kind of says it all. This was his last show. He had no intention of doing the Olympia or anything else beyond this. Is it possible that, people talk to him and he said, I'm done. I'm not doing the Olympia. I'm done with the sport after this. Did this for the fans, for myself. I want to see how I can do, and I'm done. And when they realize that, they're like, well, it is close. Why would we deny a qualification spot at the Olympia next year? He's going to continue. Chris is done. Could that have been the determining coin flip, decision on who's going to win the show?
Yeah, Chris, you answer that one, because I want to know what you have to say.
I would say Steve's judging it, so no.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's human nature.
He judged what he was looking at, and I wouldn't be surprised if he struggled with, who he's going to have first, because I know he'd love each of their physiques. I think.
But when you're that close, it was that close, don't you think?
It was that close for sure. I had, after prejudging, flipping through not all the pictures, but I thought Chris would win. When I took another look at it and tried to take off one hat and put another hat on as a judge, I could see where some judges might go with the power physique of Martin, and I figured Martin will tighten up the next day, and that might give him the edge where you can appreciate that power. Because the same thing happened, keep in mind, in Detroit, I thought Martin was behind Good Vito, and Martin tightened up, and I was like, wow, that was only in half a day. He tightened up enough in 6-7 hours where he was good enough to win that show for sure. So, you have to decide as a judge, what am I judging? The prejudging, the initial impression, or the final impression? And sometimes it comes down to, the final impression, where it could come down to one or two poses. Most muscular. It might have came down to the most muscular. It might have come down to the back double, where, when Martin is tighter on the final, as a judge, you might say, okay, you know what? He's got a lot of power in that physique, and that's who I want to win.
I think even Bumstead held his own in the most muscular shot. I thought Martin's waist was a little bloated. Didn't you think, King? What did you think of Martin's waist here compared
Not
to
at the night show. Not tonight.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, not tonight. No, he tightened up, and he shrink wrapped his waist too. I'm going to throw something else in there, guys. It's also the message. let's not forget the message. Chris just brought up a good point. If Steve was there, there's certain criteria, there's certain demands there, because Steve's, we know what he likes and we know how he does it. But there's a message that needs to be said here too. You have a 212 Olympia champion, you have a classic champion, and you have an open guy top 4 in Mr. Olympia. If Bumstead would have won, I guarantee you people all over the Sean Rays of the world would have said, what are you looking for then? What message are you giving to everybody? We have an open class for a reason. We have a classic for a reason, and we have 212 for a reason. Bumstead, the whole world would agree on this, that he is the standard for classic, obviously, because that's what made him rich and famous and all that good stuff, and a champion multiple times. Him winning an open class, what are you saying now? What is the message? And that could be a problem for the IFBB, because people are going to come out there and say, okay, so this is what you want. Then let's look at the other end of the spectrum, which is the Rolly Winklers and the big Rammies and those guys. They're the opposite of Bumstead. So what do we want here? What's going on here? So that's something you have to also think.
Bumstead has crossover. He has crossover ability,
Yeah, but he doesn't have open muscles. That's the problem. That's why Martin won.
His legs are, aside from his back, what else doesn't have?
Go back
pretty
to what
big.
Chris just okay. All right, I'll make it very simple. Go back to what Chris said. Front double bicep, front lat spread, and side chest. We give those 3 to Bumstead. We agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Side tricep, I agree with Chris. I think that Martin beat him in side tricep. Thicker, better, had everything going. Back shots, I give to Martin. Most muscular, I give to Martin. And the ab and thigh shot, it's which would you like? You like the vacuum pose, or do you like the muscular?
That's a pretty good most muscular, King. That's a pretty good most muscular.
Yeah, but at the night show tonight, when they hit their most musculars, you can just see that Bumstead was Bumstead with a good most muscular, but then the open guy, Martin, was thick. The muscularity was there. The thickness was there. That's what we're looking for in open. And when you put the whole thing together with the color, the conditioning, the posing, yes, it was extremely close, but Martin pulled it off because he's an open guy, and this was an open show.
Well, Dave, do you have any? Martin was, obviously sharper in the final. If he was 3% less sharp in the prejudging, do you not think for a second that he would have been second, or even the finals?
No, I agree with that. He came back sharper after the prejudging. I think we all had Bumstead slightly ahead, but we also all of us also said that if Martin comes back slightly better, they're going to rejudge him and all that stuff. But then again, I'll go back to what I said before to the guys yesterday, and I'll ask the same question to you, Chris. If Keon was in the show, what would happen?
Where does he play?
Yeah, where does Keon? Can Bumstead beat Keon, the one that we just saw at the Olympia? Yeah. No, he can't.
Yeah. I think he can.
Yeah, I think he can.
I think he can. He's big. He's tall, broad, wide.
The width and relax is really impressive on Chris. That's why judging.
He doesn't have a lot of weaknesses.
Even in the finals, best stand and relax. Period. And it beats almost everyone.
That lat spread is ridiculous from the front.
He's got great structure. Absolutely. He's got great structure, but I still don't see the open muscle on him. I don't see it.
Well, I think if he wanted to stay in open, he would need to put another 10 pounds on. But I think that he's holding his own very well here. And you know what? I would have had him winning. I love Martin's physique. I think Martin's a great bodybuilder. I've been touting him since he should have beat Nick Walker at New York Pro. But I think that Bumstead won, in my mind.
I would have no problem winning. And
yeah.
A lot of times you based on the actual results. We're talking about, he was maybe talking about, okay, when dominant double sticks out, last spread he sticks out, Martin's weight. Flip a coin on abs and thighs. He's, tight enough and big enough in the most muscular. to challenge, but, or to be considered by some judges as good as Martin. At the end of the day, it was two completely different. You can't deny density, not deny the fluid separation. Just clean body.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, Chris.
Well, people decide both.
Yeah. Do you, King? Let me ask you this question: do you think that he's really done? Is Bumstead done? Is that it?
Yeah. I think he realizes. I think this was just he actually said it a week ago or a couple weeks ago. He said he's in shape. He's always wanted to do it. Why not get up there and do it? That made sense to me. That reasoning made sense to me. Now that he got second, I think that I think it's more of a getting together, and he realizes that, okay, I did what I needed to do. This is my legacy. A lot of people go, this is going to be a controversial second because a lot of people had him first. As a matter of fact, I knew he got second before they even announced it, because when the MC looked at the sheet, he went, he kind of went like,
oh, really?
I noticed that. He kind of went like this. And then the expediter, the guy with the suit that was telling everybody where to stand, he looked at it and he looked at the MC, and they both were like shocked. And I'm like, yep.
I'm telling you, I really believe that if Bumstead had intentions to continue on and do the Olympia, if he qualified, he would have won this show.
You might be right, Dave. You might be right. You might be right. Yeah, you might be right about that one.
He's great for business, this guy. And you know what? It's not like you'd be throwing this guy a bone. He fucking legitimately deserved, to be in that top two. And no one would have complained had he won this show. No one.
Most important.
No, agreed.
Nobody would have complained whatsoever. That close.
Yeah.
But even Chris at his all-time best, which I would say this was Chris at his all-time best. He looked fantastic. He looked fuller. He didn't have to make weight and all that stuff. I still don't see him standing next to Jay Cutler 2009, Dexter Jackson 2008, Sean Rhoden.
We don't have bodybuilders that look like that anymore.
Ronnie Coleman 2003. I just don't. That's my vision of open.
Right, but we don't have guys like that anymore. We're at a point where there's openings, there's gaps in I mean, Martin was fourth at the Olympia, and Chris almost beat him.
Yeah,
so that tells me Chris is top 5. That tells me Chris is top 5 in the Open Olympia.
Yeah. But that says something about the state of bodybuilding right now, and we all agree on it. Me and Milos had this conversation. Milos texted me and said, "What do you think?"
Or it says how good Chris is. How would Urs or how would Mike Sommerfeld have done in this lineup?
First call
Would
out.
beating Clarita? Would they have been beating Clarita?
No, I don't think. Sean was a solid third. I think he was a solid.
Yeah. So Chris is exceptional, is what, and that's why we're so sad to see this guy go, because he's at the peak of his powers. He's 29 years old. He has a lot more shows in him, but you know what? He's done. I mean, you got to respect the guy. That's just, as long as he doesn't come back in 2 years and say, "I'm coming back." I don't like when people do that. If he's legitimately done mentally and he's going to commit himself to business, I'm completely in favor of it. Lee Haney did that. We never saw Lee Haney make a comeback. I completely respect that.
I think the combination of Bumstead announcing it beforehand, announcing it again on stage at this show, and his coach retiring, I think the trend is there now. I think it's all matching. Right. All the boxes are being checked at this.
Do you think that's one of the reasons Hani was hired, because he knew that Bumstead was done?
Probably. That, and that he has the crazy Persian wife. Those are the top two.
Yeah. By the way, it's Chris. Kamali's working theory is that it's the Persian wife that made Hani retire from coaching. What do you think?
That has a lot to do with it. Absolutely, it does.
Well, but I always say that when you're into something, when you have a business, or when you have a business, you are always in one perpetual affair when you're married, because it's hard to balance like married and family life and business because
100%.
You wake up in the morning and a lot of times you're thinking about business and you work all day long and you bring the work home with you, at 5 p.m. and the clients are calling you. And I'm not talking bodybuilding business, any business.
You're right.
People have access to you, and clients are calling, or professionals who you deal with are calling, and your work becomes like this 24/7. And then you wake up one day and you're like, okay, I've been in Kenny's case, I've been bodybuilding coaching for 30 years, and I haven't breathed anything outside of bodybuilding. So it could be his wife,
right?
Anyone.
No, you're right.
Agreed.
And
it's stressful too at that level because everyone.
It takes somebody, it takes a lot of commitment to be able to walk away, like Handy's walking away from like coaching, because it's fun, but it's just gruesome. And it's just like someone's being a CEO of a company say, you know what, I'm retiring, I'm 52, I got enough money or whatever, I'm set, and I'm going to concentrate on my family. That's all you know. If you're a CEO of your own company or any company and you've been at it since your 20s, 30s, 40s, that's what you know every day. That's your social life. That's your, you socialize with the people you do business with. It's a big step, but things are time consuming.
My suspicion is that Hani will be back, and that's fine. It's okay for a coach. It's okay to take a break and come back. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you just need a breather. Catch your breath, and it's kids get older, they're a little more self-sufficient. You might have more time. I wouldn't doubt that we'll see Hani back coaching again. But
and let's not forget that bodybuilding. Let's not forget that bodybuilding is one of the most fickle sports on the planet. People forget like this. How many Olympias did Phil Heath win? And then suddenly, woo, adios, gone. Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
Right. I saw Patrick Bet-David had. Remember when Patrick David had Chris Bumstead on? He asked him a question. He goes, "Chris, what's your goal? Are you trying to break the record? You want to win 9 Olympias, 10 Olympias?" And Chris is like, "No, that's not really a goal of mine. I'm just kind of going year by year. It's not that important." He goes, or is your focus business? He goes, because you could, with your social media following, you could be making a lot of money. He said, if you want to make money in business and be successful that way, then don't even go for the record. He goes, if the record's important to you, then focus on the record. He goes, but I think you could be more successful not to go to the record. So maybe Chris took some of Patrick's advice to heart and said, you know what, 6 is enough. I don't need to win 9 to say I'm the most winningest guy, but I'd rather focus on other stuff. Sometimes you get bored too with it. You know what I mean? I wish I was in that situation where I won so many Olympias that I got bored with it. But what has he got to prove at this point?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what motivates you to do the next show, to do the 7th and the 8th and the 9th? I mean, if you have a strong ego, maybe that'll motivate you. But at some point, some guys have other. They like I'm not really giving it 100% anymore because it's too easy, and I'm not. I just think like I want to do something else. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, and I think that's very honest of him to come to that conclusion.
Agreed, 100%. The Conor McGregor effect. What the fuck is he going to climb back in the ring?
Well, Conor lost. Yeah, you know what, though, King? I understand why those guys go in the ring. I watched that Tyson fight on Friday night. I was traumatized watching it. I hated it. He was so
100%
pathetic. It was so obvious that it was like a setup. But you know what? I understand why Tyson did it. Tyson had $400 million at one point, and he lost it all. And he's just getting back to making money again. And you know what? He's like, fuck it. I don't know how much he made, but he probably made $10 million for the thing.
He made $20 million.
Right? So, I mean, he made $20 million. All right. Well, after taxes, he made $10 million. So he's got 10 more. That's probably doubled or tripled his what he's got in the bank. So I'm like, he just made his retirement right there. I don't blame him for doing that, No, it was an opportunity.
I'm saying that there's certain athletes that you just got to get to a certain point where you got to turn it in the opposite direction. And that's what Conor's doing now. He's promoting now instead of getting his shin broken.
Right.
where his head kicked in. You know, okay, that's fine. Right. He's on his Lamborghini boat going to Monte Carlo and watching cars race while he's drinking his fucking energy drinks. Okay, or his proper 12. Go for it. God bless you.
Right.
Yeah, let him do it.
What? Money is a big motivator. I'm sure if Arnold called up Bumstead and said, "Look, I'll give you $2 million to just come in my show. You know, it doesn't matter your place. I want you in the show. I'm giving you $2 million." I mean, how could Bumstead say no to that? I mean, that's what these fighters are being offered. They're being offered FU money. You can't say no. I mean, he'd be nuts if he didn't take that $2 million from Arnold and do the show.
Yeah.
Now, Arnold's not doing that, but I'm saying if he did, I guarantee you we'd see Bumstead in another show. You know?
Yeah. I got a question for Chris. Chris, if Behruz was in the show tonight, what would have happened?
You know, he'd be.
You broke up. Say it again.
You broke up. We didn't hear you. Say it again.
Be a major factor.
Yeah.
Be a major factor. Because he's got. Well, he's not powerful looking as Martin in a lot of ways, but he's got better shape to that than Martin. You know, a lot of good shape.
You would have beaten Martin at the Olympia? Do you think Behruz would have beaten Martin? Yeah.
I haven't seen him in person, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell unless he's standing next to him.
I think so, because Behruz has that Iranian conditioning.
So do you think Behruz is basically like a top 3 Olympian, King?
Next year, definitely.
Real? That's a very big,
I talked to him, like I told you yesterday. I talked to him, and you know how I feel about Iranians. Right. Okay? I think they're the most psycho human beings on this planet, and they come after your family and all that stuff. I don't like that about my culture. But
that's the fans. That's the fans.
Yeah, those are the fans. But some of the athletes are like that too. That's why I don't like Hadi. I've never said anything bad about, but Hadi, one of the greatest bodybuilders ever. Yes, his personality, I don't give a fuck about his personality. Behruz, I talked to him for about an hour, 2 times. He is a great fucking guy. Nice guy. He's humble. He, instead of talking about himself, first he spent 30 minutes telling me that, King, I had your posters. I watched your videos so many times that the VCR broke, and then my this. I mean, he was so complimentary, and his answer to me when I asked him, why aren't you doing Prague? Why aren't you doing these shows? He said, I need to clean out. I need to get healthy. Okay, that's what I like to hear from the people that are honest with themselves and honest with the fans and honest with everybody else. He said that's what he needed to do. But if he keeps it up, you know, and he brings that Iranian crazy crispy conditioning, he's definitely in the mix. Definitely in the mix.
I hope the guy can get a visa. I don't know if he's going to be able to get one now with you know, now that Trump's in there.
He's going to have to do the same thing that Hadi did. He's going to have to go and get signed with an American company and start paying taxes. Once that happens, I think a lot of windows will open up. That right there, that picture, that front double bicep and that back double bicep, that is dangerous, man. That is very dangerous.
Yeah. Where do you think he stacks up, Chris, in the Olympia lineup?
Not first call out, but I've never seen him in person on stage, so that's you know, you could take pictures of Hadi and say he's not going to win the Arnold, right? You see him in real life, you're like, oh, he's going to win the Arnold. I mean, he's even more impressive.
You remember, Chris, a few years back when I came back from Iran after I did all my seminars, and I told Dave on his show, I said, watch out for these Iranians. I saw some crazy
shit. I remember.
And another time Dave had me back on, I said, Dave, there's a bunch of Hadi Chupans running around in Iran. They just can't get there.
You did.
I told you that. And I stand by it. There's still guys out there in Iran that are better, not better, but on the same wavelength as a Hadi Chupan or a Behruz. They're there. They just can't get out.
Right. You gotta like set up some kind of a smuggling ring to get these guys out of there, Molly. You could have build like an Iranian safe house in New York there, or where Virginia, wherever you are.
You know what I would do, and I'm not joking when I say this. You guys might think I'm joking, but I would somehow, some way, get a letter in front of Trump and just say, hey, you're the greatest. You're the best. We love you more than anything. I'm an athlete. Please help me. You know how Trump is. If you tell him he's the greatest, he'll do something for you. Had that's the route to go. Find some way to get to Trump. You know what I'm saying? I mean, last night at the UFC, look at that. I mean, it was I had goosebumps watching John Jones. He didn't thank family. He didn't thank Jesus. As soon as he won, he did the Trump dance and pointed to Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I guarantee you Trump is going to say something, do something for even more for John Jones or for the UFC because they love him there. That's the secret to Trump. Be nice to him. Kiss his ass. He does nice things for you.
Let's hope. Maybe Bobby Kennedy will make steroids legal. So we won't have this. We won't have the stigma anymore. Chris Bumstead said something after his win. They went to him on the microphone, obviously, because everyone wanted to hear what he had to say. And after talking and telling people he's done and everything, he said, "Look, I don't want to stay on stage any longer because I don't want this is Martin's night. I want him to get the praise." And I thought that was a class act. And he walked off and he allowed Martin to get the fanfare that he deserved for winning the show. So that was
without a question. Bumstead is a
very
class
guy.
Yeah, without a question, Chris he's a first class guy. He's a very nice guy.
Classy guy. That's what do you think we see from him now that he's retired? What do you think he's going to be focusing his energy on? Do you think we'll see him just continue with the supplement company? Will he come out with something new, a new company or something like that?
Who knows?
Any of your inside
maybe he'll team up with The Rock and do something. I don't know, man. Options are open for that guy. I would say like about 80% of the people in this country think he's Mr. Olympia.
No, I know. It's crazy.
All the kids in my gym think he's Mr. Olympia.
Think about it. I mean, the guy has got almost 26 million followers now. I mean, it just keeps going up and up and up. It's almost unbelievable. I mean, the reach that this guy has, and like I said, regular kids know who he is, which is really actually good for the sport because it's making us older guys have to get more notoriety too. Because when young kids come into the sport because of CBUM, they go and they listen to us for information, which is nice, So everything feeds everything. I think that's why. And in essence, I think it's kind of sad that he's not competing anymore because how the memory of people in our sport is and on social media is about 3 months. After 3 months, no one even remembers who you are anymore. I mean, 100%. Think about the most popular 10, 15 years ago, Dana Lynn Bailey. Does anyone even know who she is now? I mean, no one even mentions her name. Nope. She got called out at the Olympia to give a trophy out, and I don't think anyone even knew who she was except for the people who have been around.
Which is the biggest kick in the face for us. You know why, Dave? Because if we had social media in the early 2000s, I would have 20 million followers. You would have 20 million followers.
Yeah.
Titus would have 50 million followers.
No, but think about it. Dana Lynn Bailey, when she would come out, I mean, people don't even know, she was the first Miss Physique Olympia. Yeah. And when she would come out to do her routine, you thought you were at a like AC/DC rock concert. Yeah. I mean, the level screaming and cheering was unbelievable. It was deafening. Yeah. And now no one knows who she is. I'm saying Chris is very popular, but what's going to happen in 5, 6, 7 years from now if he hasn't gotten on stage again? I don't know. Unless he creates a new niche, carves out a new niche for himself in another light. We might not even know. People might not know who he is, or even remember when he competed. Maybe he'll be a big podcast. I don't know. It's crazy if the judges favor you. What happens like that? Because I also remember watching Dana Lynn Bailey compete at the New York Pro, and she got like 14th or 15th, and she was laying on the back of the arena, laying on the floor, and her boyfriend was like consoling her. And 2 years later, she was that person. Yeah. Yep. Well, she was a figure competitor. And then when they started women's physique, I think she got the first pro card in women's physique, and then she won the first Olympia. So, I mean, it turned by creating a new division for her, essentially, it changed the whole, scope of her life, essentially. There's a couple of There's a couple of Devana. Devana did that. Ivana Medina,
right?
yeah, so.
Yeah, Ivana did that. So
But,
it's like
in figure.
And of course, it goes all the way back to the original icon, Monica Brain. You know, she was a superstar before there was any superstars in the sport as far as the women go.
She would have more people at her booth waiting to get a signed picture from her than all the guys combined.
Yeah, I did an appearance with her in Kentucky. It was like a fucking, like a rock concert when she was there. It was crazy.
Right.
Girls like high school, to moms,
no, it was nuts. It was nuts.
Girls to athletes. Yeah, she used to have lines around the corner.
It was really incredible, yeah. And most people don't know who she is. I just was at the Olympia with her. She has a podcast, and I did a little podcast with her from the Olympia, from her booth. And I don't think a lot of people know who she is, other than her little base of followers that she still has, because that's the nature of the beast with social media. You're only relevant for about a period of 30 to 90 days. If you don't continue, if I stop posting content on RxMuscle for 3 months, forget about it. I'm done. It's done. It's over. You can't stop. That's why
Dave, that's the disgusting time that we're living in right now, man.
I know.
Nothing we can do about it. I mean, the peak example, the top on that Wikipedia list of what you're talking about is the Haktua girl. Yeah. I mean, that girl right there is just blows. It's mind-boggling.
You don't hear anything about her. She's done.
It's crazy. It's crazy what happened.
She was. What? Can you hear me?
It's just insane. It's just insane
how she was a superstar for like a month or two, and then no one even. I haven't heard a word from her recently. She's done. She's gone. You know,
it's kind of sad, man. It's just kind of sad that we're at this point right now. That's why I every day with me, it's talking to my daughter, talking to my son about what reality is, what social media is, and how fake everything is, and to be real and concentrate on real things and concentrate on your future and college and money and I'm pushing both of them to finance. Every day I push them to finance, business. Forget about everything else. Forget about saving the world. Forget about Peace Corps. Forget about saving the whales. Forget about that. Money.
Yeah, I think that there's like two definitive ways you can go in today's world. You could, because to me, education is not a guarantee of a great job anymore. So if you go to the education route, it's because you're being pulled there because you want to learn and you have a yearning for that, and that you don't really know where it might take you, but you want that education. And then the other one is, I got to make a living for myself. So if you're a plumber, electrician, those guys will always make a ton of money because you can't be replaced by robots. Or you get into finance, like saying, directly where you stock market related or I don't know, whatever, Bitcoin and stuff like that. So you have to kind of separate yourself. Or the third option now that you can go to that a lot of people think they can exploit and make a lot of money, but not many people have the mindset to do it, which is social media. Are you going to be a social media doctor? You have your own YouTube channel, your own Instagram, TikTok account. But that has to be nurtured it's almost like bodybuilding. I always tell people, if you want to be successful on social media, treat it like your bodybuilding career. You never miss a meal. You never miss a workout. You don't miss sleeping. Same thing. You got to post content. You got to be relevant. You got to keep up with what's going on, and you can't stop. And that's it. Some people, it's too stressful for them. They can't do it. They burn out.
And you left one thing out there. Let's add one more to that list that you just said. Who you hang out with. If your friends are rich, you know how to invest. Rich people know what they're talking. They're rich for a reason. That's why when I go up to the Hamptons and I hang out with my boys in the Hamptons, they are living a completely different world, in a different world than anybody else I've ever seen. I mean, the way they speak, the way they talk, the way they eat dinner, the way they walk down the street, everything that they do is different from everybody else. And when you do that, and that's why I took my son and I took my daughter up there and I got them, went there. We went to all those Hamptons parties, the 4th of July. And my daughter started to say to me, Dad, is this how rich people live? I'm like, yes, this is it. If you want this, you're going to have to do this.
Right, but you know what though? You're anti-establishment though, and so that doesn't work for you. Like, I don't think a guy like you can slip into that world, because you'll be like, this is bullshit. I can't do it.
I have,
you know,
I have
hard.
slipped
I'm
into
like
that world.
anti-establishment too because of that.
Dave,
I can't.
I've done it. I have those guys. I got friends in Miami right now, and I got friends in the Hamptons that I go back and forth with. And I have learned. See, one of my superpowers is this, and I've had this in high school too. One weekend, I would go and camp out for the Grateful Dead because I love the Deadheads. Right. We used to have a great time. The weekend afterwards, I would be at the Budweiser, the Super Fresh with Kool Moe Dee, LL Cool J, and Run DMC. Well, I would go see them. Then a week after that, I would go to the Bon Jovi concert for the Monsters of Rock with the Guns N' Roses. I could transform myself into anything, any situation that I got in. I'm in the same situation now. When I go and I hang out with these boys at the Hamptons, they have accepted me in. They brought me into their family, and we go to these exotic car clubs, and we go to these white parties, and we do this stuff. Dave, it's just being able to manifest where you are and who you're with and just blend in. If you can do that, it's not that hard, man. It's really not.
Are you going to the P. Diddy freakouts?
I didn't. I've been to a free.
I heard a rumor that you were there. Yeah.
No.
I heard you were at a couple free.
But I've been to a couple of parties. One of these times we can do a show, and I'll tell you more of my crazy Las Vegas stories, man. I haven't told you all of them.
No, I know a lot of them. All right, I want to show you a picture of Chris Bumstead from what he looked like when he was first getting started in 16 versus 2024. I mean, he made some tremendous gains.
Yeah, the base is there. You can see the base. It was there, and he just worked hard. Definitely worked hard.
And look at the lats and the size of his legs. I mean, that's a tremendous difference. And you know what the funny thing is? We were going over this earlier. He really hasn't lost a show, Bumstead. Breon Breon was the only one who beat him as a pro.
And I think he learned more from losing to Breon than anything else. I think that drove him even harder.
He never should have lost. He never should have lost to Breon. He should never have lost to Breon. He won that show as far as I'm concerned. And I love Breon. I love his physique, but I thought he beat him in that show. I think they weren't ready for his physique, yet. They didn't know what to do with him. But ostensibly, he could have ended his career undefeated. I mean, if he would have, like I said, I thought he won the show this past weekend. I thought he did enough to beat Martin. I don't think Martin was at his best. I think we're making rationalizations because of Martin was awarded the victory. To me, I thought Bumstead did enough to win. And I thought he should beat Breon. Back then, I told Chris, I said, this guy's going to make a run in as Olympia champ for years. I said, no one's going to beat this structure. I said, he's just too crazy looking. And the truth is, he probably could have gone right into open bodybuilding and done very well in that too. So, and I don't have no doubt that stick with open bodybuilding, that this guy could put another 10, 15 pounds on his physique and he'd be unbeatable because of his structure.
Yeah, he definitely. Yeah, the structural game, 100%, I agree with you. And yes, I too had him winning after prejudging yesterday. But seeing them tonight, it was much closer. Again, it could have gone either way. And I think the audience was a little bit shocked too, because they didn't know what to do. They didn't want to boo because Martin's there.
Right.
I don't know. To them, it's very, very, weird.
Let me ask you a controversial question, since we always talk controversy.
Bring it.
Is he the best structurally white guy we've had, in bodybuilding?
Structurally best white guy we've ever had. Okay, let me think.
I mean, we got Dorian. I think is right.
I'm thinking Lee Labrada. I'm thinking Bob Paris. I'm thinking Dennis Wolf.
But they're smaller than he is. He's better. He would have beat because he would have beat them. Those guys probably.
Would he have beaten Dennis Wolf?
I don't know. That's a good question. That he maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. You're right.
Yeah,
Dennis, right? Dennis
I know Dennis is going to be watching this. See, Dennis, I'm watching out for you, brother. That was good.
Yeah, no, that's a good.
Whatever you want to say it. Dennis,
right.
Dennis was a bad white boy, man. He was good.
Dennis beat Sean Roden at his best, which is not an easy feat to do, So
yeah, and let me throw in there, if I could pat myself in the back, I would, but I can't reach. I did beat Dennis in Montreal, so I'm sorry, Dennis.
What, when Dennis was what? When Dennis was 18? How old was he at that show?
No, I beat him in Montreal, man. 2007, I beat him.
Yeah, no, that. When you dominated conditioning, you had a lot of muscle on your body. You were hard to beat.
Listen, Dave, structural wise, absolutely. But then again, I mean, I go back to saying he's been training his ass off for all these years. He trains heavy. You agree with that? He trains heavy. I'm sure he eats all that stuff, and he's created this body. Can he put on more even at his age? Maybe a little bit more. But it's like Dorian. Everybody kept saying to Nasser, if Nasser gets a back, he's going to beat Dorian. And then Dorian's response was, he's been training for 15 years. What do you think, he's going to get a back in 1 year? And he was right. Dorian was right.
But the difference between Bumstead and Nasser was that Bumstead had a limit on his weight. He had a cap. So there was no reason for him to really try to put excessive amounts of muscle on, because he wouldn't be able to make weight. So I think that at 29, I think he probably had another 2 or 3 good years that he could have packed on some muscle. I see no reason why he couldn't have added another 15 pounds to that physique. And I think 15 pounds on that structure would have been unbelievable.
That's true. But the problem is, here's the problem again. And I'm not a Bumstead hater. I don't want you guys to think I am. I think he's fantastic. I think he's amazing. I'm just from an era, and so are you, Dave. We saw Flex, Paul, Kevin, Nasser. I mean, that is embedded in my head. Standing backstage at the Arnold Classic and watching these guys pump up. My first time, I was like, "What the fuck am I doing here?" Around, what the hell? I got all these guys' posters in my locker in high school. What the hell is going on? So that's where I'm coming from. I'm looking back at that, and then when I see the top 5 guys at the show, I say to myself, yeah, Bumstead, fantastic, but the rest of them, including Sean and Martin, they look like the top-tier national level United States guys. That's what I see. I don't see super freaks of holy shit. You were a holy shit when you walked on the stage at the Junior Nationals. I remember the MCs were like, "The fuck is that?" And Sean Ray was like, "What the hell was that?"
Thank you.
So I am used to that. You are used to that. Or I'll bring this up too. I don't know if you hate this stuff. I'll say it again. 99 British Grand Prix. That's all I'm going to say. 1999 British Grand Prix, when they all peaked in one night. Remember that show?
Oh, when Ronnie was insane.
When Ronnie was insane. Flex, Kevin, Nasser, they all, Dexter, Marcus, they all walked out and they all peaked. Yeah. All of them were in shape. That we will never see again. That's what so when I see these guys come out there, I give them the props for their conditioning. I give them props for everything like that. But right now, as far as the world is concerned, we have Samson Dowda sitting at the top, and no one has come close to Hadi's conditioning yet, from the front and side. So, except for Bear Bruce. Bear Bruce is getting close. That's what I'm trying to look for. So let's see what happens. But the trend is still those guys from the 90s and early 2000s still not there, man. Those are super freaks.
Yeah,
special time.
It was a lucky time too. I think because you just happened to get a lot of guys with a lot of great talent on there. But you know what? When I see some of these guys structurally in the classic physique division, I say, well, I wonder if they, if they try to put muscle on. I wonder if Chris really, if his goal would have been to be Mr. Olympia in the open division, what he would have been capable of. Now, he maybe would have shortened his life. I don't know, because of his health issues. But I mean, could he have? Imagine him with 25 pounds more muscle on that frame. What the hell would he look like? He could have been another Dorian, you know what I mean? Because his conditioning is amazing,
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll give you that. Definitely give you that. But still, I just don't see, even though, he's been training his ass off, and I see he goes to 6 plates on the squats. It's not like Bumstead doesn't train heavy. He does. And he still doesn't get that massive, thick. Yes, he could put on a little bit more, but it's still not what I would consider open. Much respect and props to him for what he did tonight. I give him that. And
but King, when you know in your head, hold on.
No problem.
When you know in your head, you don't have to be beyond. You're the top of the heap. You're in classic physique. There's no one bigger than you. There's no one better than you. There's really no motivation to put excessive amounts of muscle on, especially when you have a weight cap you have to make. If there was no weight cap and he knew he was chasing other guys that were bigger than him, it would be more motivation for him to get bigger, grow better, train even harder. So I think he has the genetics. When he won the North American in bodybuilding, people don't realize he didn't start out in classic. He won the North American overall in bodybuilding, the same show that some great bodybuilders from the past won, Paul Dillette won. Okay, so he won that as a bodybuilder. He could have gone into bodybuilding and gone from there, but he saw a niche open up for himself. This classic division, I can make weight because I'm tall. I'm not over the cap. I got a great shape. Everyone's encouraging him. He went there.
Yeah.
It was actually it was a great decision because look at his following he has now. But it was a terrible decision because from a bodybuilding perspective, because it limited him and held him back from his potential a little bit, I think. And because it made it too easy for him, you know what I mean? Because he's so much better than everyone that he didn't have to put on massive amounts of muscle to beat anyone. And so it just changed the trajectory of his career.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. I see that. I see your point. I see where he could have gone. It's a big if, but I see it.
I mean, you and I, if we would have had that structure with the mindset we had back in the 90s, we would have been like, we're going all the way with this. We're going to we're going to win the Olympia, because we have the tool set, that because you and I didn't have the tool set that he has. We had our own tool set, but we didn't have his tool set. With his tool set, forget about it. We'd probably be dead right now.
One other thing put into consideration too, Dave, the fact that the guy who got second to him this year, what's the guy's name? The guy with the beard, the Viking-looking guy.
Yeah, Mike Sommerfeld.
Mike, two judges had him winning. Also put that into consideration too. So the invincible Mike Tyson of the 80s, invincibility of Bumstead was cracked. So Douglas cracked him. This guy Mike gave him an uppercut this year. I just think all the box and all the planets are in line now for him to say, thank you, peace. I'm going to go do the next thing in my life.
Right. Well, that's why I thought maybe this open division would be a new life for him. All right, you know what? It was a little too close for comfort. I don't want to stay in that classic division. I want to see what I can exploit, because everyone who's switched from other divisions has been very successful, from Derek Lunsford to Hadi Chopin, right? Even Sean Clarita had good success in the open division. He won a couple shows. So I mean, the crossing over thing seems to work, and we see it worked for him. He took second. He could have won this show. He easily could win potentially an Arnold Classic, and maybe even an Olympia if he really put his mind to it. Obviously, competing is not that important to him anymore, because I know if it was you or I, we would never have quit, and we would be doing Olympias now. But that's just what our mindset was versus what his mindset is. Maybe he's smarter than we are. Maybe he'll make a lot more money than we made, and maybe he'll be a lot more successful and have a healthier life too. So I can't criticize any move that he's made. I can only applaud him for having the courage to do it.
Yeah, but I'm starting to lean more towards your theory from the beginning, that they basically said, he told them being the powers that be, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Okay, this is it for me, like there. And and Martin opened up and gave them an excuse by coming back better tonight, coming back drier tonight.
Right.
And he was more muscular, and this was an open division. So again, and one of the things that I respect a lot about Bumstead is when he got second place, he was happy. And I think the joy that he showed on stage was, it's done. I'm done. I'm done with this now. I had it. I did it. Right. I'm done. Everything's checked.
The scorecard was just put up. You want me to read you the scorecard?
Absolutely. I'm curious.
All right. I'm glad. I've been checking the whole course of the show. So Martin won pre-judging with unanimous first, and he won finals with unanimous first, according to the scorecard.
There you go. So they were going,
I don't know if I believe it, but that's what they're putting up there. So
your theory is becoming more powerful.
Yeah. But I don't know about that. But it is what it is. Like I said, it was to me, it was touching that Chris didn't have any bad feelings. He was very happy for Martin. He was able to step aside and let Martin take the credit. He didn't feel like, oh, you know what, I'm Mr. Olympia here 6 times. I'm the legend. I'm the guy with 25 million followers. I got to get some spotlight here, because other guys would have stolen the spotlight from Martin. He stepped off. He was very humble, and that just tells me what kind of a guy he is. He's not he's not all about himself. You know, he's not all about himself.
Yeah. You know, but we also, you and I are also OGs, so we also know that you never say never, because I've learned that the hard way, to never say never. Whenever you think something's not gonna happen, it's gonna fucking happen.
Sure.
And
no, you're right.
And once I saw, like, for me, the greatest example of that is Roy Jones Jr. You unified the middleweight, the cruiserweight, light heavyweight, super middleweight, and win the heavyweight title. Retire. Just done. I did it. It doesn't matter if Antonio Tarver's screaming and cursing his mother. Just laugh and say, "See ya," and do what you call Connor did. Go get a Lamborghini, a boat, and go and just lay out and drink some fucking champagne. Done, but he couldn't, because the warrior inside him kept saying,
"The warrior.
Nope, I'm coming back. Nope, I'm coming back. No. So never say never."
Because fighters always think they got one more fight in them. That's why. And you know what the funny thing is? When the money is there, it's hard to say no. You know, look, you and I say, well, what does he need the money? He's got so much money already. But you know what? When you start saying, if I make $20 million on this fight, I'm going to take home 10. I could buy that house I wanted, and I can start that business I wanted, and I could pay for my kids' college. You start spending the money before you even make it. So I think that if the money was better in bodybuilding like it is in boxing, think about the people that would be attracted. We would have freaks. You talk about the 90s. The 90s would look like the dead ages. We would be like, oh, we thought the 90s would look at the guys today, because you'd get a lot of more genetically talented people going into bodybuilding. The only reason why we don't have that, King, anymore is because the money is just not as good. Once we start giving away $1 million first place, you're going to see better talent coming into the
and also speaking about the money thing, immediately after the Tyson Jake Paul fight, who are the first two boxers that came out and challenged them? One was Gervonta Davis, he came out, and of course, what did he do? He's like, I want $20 million. You know, the most he's ever made is what, 1.5, 1.2? He goes, I'll take 20. And then I bet you don't know this one, because I know you didn't hear it. Guess who's the second person that came out and challenged him? Andrew Tate.
Oh.
Andrew Tate.
He's got a lot of legal bills.
He did it on his, on his social media platform today.
He's got a lot of legal bills today, man.
I will beat the crap out of this guy. I challenge you right now, Jake Paul. And of course, Andrew, there's another one. He's not worth 20. He's got like what, $5-6 million. He'll put a $20 million in his pocket too. He'll get his ass beat. He's a kickboxer, right? And then that's not going to work. So, and
if you notice, they asked Tyson. Are you done? He goes, no. And they're like, what do you mean you're not done? He goes, I want to fight Logan Paul now. Money.
Oh yeah, man. Listen, this is the world that we're living in now, and it's going to keep happening, bro. And the one guy that he wants more than anybody else is the guy who would kill him, which Canelo. Canelo would kill him. Canelo would.
I don't know why he's asking for Canelo.
To be honest with you, it dumbfounds me, because Canelo's probably sitting in his house thinking, I will break every bone in his ribs. I will break one at a time. I will break his ribs on purpose.
Yeah. He's too good. Canelo's still too good. He should go after, what's his name? Conor McGregor. That's who he should go after.
Yeah, that would be $100 million each. 100%.
Yeah, at least. Well, I want to thank you, King, for coming on and giving your unique perspective, as you always do, and calling it like you see it. Love you, man. And guys, as we say every week with Heavy Muscle Radio, the truth hurts. See you next week.